Today my goal is to help you guys feel better about your test tomorrow over sections 9.1 through 9.3. For the first one, you're going to go ahead and find the perimeter of the composite figure. All right, remind me again, guys, what does perimeter mean? The distance around the outside, all right? So we've got a 5 and a 3. I need to figure out what is this distance right here, guys? 6 inches. On your quiz, a lot of you guys forgot about filling in this part that we don't know, okay? Then we're going to add that in and add that and add that. So all you have to do is add up the outside because it's the distance around the outside. A lot of you complicated that and tried to use really difficult formulas. Listen, perimeter is just the distance around the outside. What do you get when you add those up?
24 inches.
24 inches. For this next one, it's not quite as easy as the other one. We're finding the area of the composite figure. So you've got to figure out what shapes are there in your composite figure. All right, so let's think about what some of the shapes are, guys. What's this shape right here?
Rectangle.
That is a rectangle. Then you got to make sure that you are adding in the other shape. What other shape is there? A triangle. How many triangles are there? 2 triangles are there. Okay, so when you're looking at those triangles, look, this is one triangle right here. Does everyone see that? And then there's another triangle over here. Do you see this little box right here? That's what helps you to understand and identify which one is the base and which one's the height, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and take that, and let's just figure out what would this little distance be right there, and this one.
10.
Look, if this is 8, I got to cut it in half, so what would those be? Okay, they're going to be 4 and 4. Does that make sense? Okay, so if I take this, I'm going to have to kind of switch around down here. If it looks like this, the base is down here at the bottom, and the height is going up. So looking at that, kind of changing it up, this is the height going up there. So what's the height, guys?
8.
I highlighted it. What's the height?
3.
3. Which means this area over here is the base. What's my base?
4.
4. Okay, so sometimes you have to change the way that you view the triangle. So let's go ahead and use that information now. We're trying to find the area. What's the formula for a rectangle? We're going to take a length times a width, and then we have to add in those triangles. How many triangles do I have?
2.
I've got 2, and what is the formula for a triangle? 1/2 times base times height. Okay? So now let's go ahead and figure out what is my length on the rectangle.
8 and 10.
Okay, we've got 8 and 10, so we're going to go ahead and multiply those two together. Then we've got to add in whatever, we've got 2 triangles there. What is my base of the triangle?
4.
4 is the base, okay? Remember this down here, that's the bottom part of the triangle. All right, so we've got times 4, and what's the height?
3.
Times 3. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and we're going to work through this. What's 8 times 10? 80. Plus we have to add in how many triangles did I have?
2.
Plus 2 triangles. Let's do this part together. What's half of 4?
2.
2. What's 2 times 3?
6.
6. Does that make sense how we did that? All right, so now we're going to bring down that 80, and we're going to add 2 times 6. Guys, what's 2 times 6? Plus 12. So what's my answer?
92.
92 what?
Feet squared.
Feet squared. All right, so guys, you can see here that it has given us the radius. It's given us the diameter. How do I find the radius? You cut it in half, so what's the answer?
15.
15 meters, all right? So listen, tonight, if you missed that kind of a problem on your quiz correction, you don't have to actually draw this circle right here. Instead, you just got to tell me It started off with the diameter, which was 30 meters, and then you'll find what you need to know, okay? A lot of people complicated that on their quiz too. Just know if I give you the diameter, you just have to cut it in half for the radius. It's asking us to find the diameter because it gave us the radius. How do I find the diameter?
Multiply by 2.
You multiply by 2, you have to double it. So you've got 28 feet. Be careful, some people said 28 inches. Always look carefully at what your units are. All right, for the next one, you're trying to find the circumference of the circle, and it wants you to use 3.14 for pi. Always identify first whether you have the diameter or the radius. Which one do we have, guys? We have the diameter. As I look around at your answers, the thing that people have made the most mistake on is identifying which formula to use. If it says to find the circumference, we know it's going to be C equals, and remember for circumference there's 2 formulas, one with the diameter and one with the radius. We know the diameter, so let's go ahead and use that one, okay? Pi times D. Should I cut it in half? No, a lot of people were dividing by 2, but listen, you're only going to do that if this figure right here is a semicircle. So instead, all you got to do is just plug it in. 3.14 times 18. What'd you get, guys?
52 centimeters.
Should I square the units? No, why not? You only square the units for area. All right, this next problem was the most missed problem on your quiz. It asks you to find the perimeter of the semicircle. So the first thing you've got to do is find this before you do anything else, okay? So try to think of what that's called. What is that called that I highlighted? The outside part of a circle. Circumference, okay? So let's start with this first formula. Circumference of this circle over here. What did I give you down here at the bottom? It's the distance all the way across. What is that? Diameter, okay? So that's going to be pi times d. However, that's not a circle. What is that? A semicircle. This is what a lot of people forgot to do. What do I need to do to that? Divide it by 2. So now I've got 3.14. Listen, if you don't have that right, just erase it and fix it. 3.14 times 24 divided by 2. Can I cross reduce?
Yes.
Yes.
The 2 and the 24.
Okay, the 2 and 24, what do they become?
1 and 12.
1 and 12. So now we're finding the circumference of that highlighted part right there. A lot of you also got this part of the answer. What is that answer? 37.68 inches. More than half of you had this, but then you boxed the answer in. Guys, this, all it has done, it's told us that this is 37.68 inches. But if you remember, I want the perimeter of this whole thing. So what should I do?
Plus.
I've got to add in my diameter. So remember, this is just the first part. Now I need to find the perimeter equals the circumference plus the diameter. So you got to do 37.68. What was the diameter, guys?
24.
24. So now you just want to add those 2 together. I had only 3 people out of the whole class who got that. What's the answer?
61.68 inches.
Very good. A couple people squared it. Should they square the units? No, only square it if you have area. Other than that, perimeter circumference, you'll never square it. Here's where people struggled the most, knowing the right formula. Guys, what's the area of a circle formula? A equals pi r squared. If you didn't start off like that, I want you to erase yours, okay? Now, once again, on your quiz, I was able to give out bonus points or partial credit for people who started with the right formula, because I can see you at least know something. You just might have accidentally plugged in something wrong, okay? So please start off with the formula so I can give you partial credit even if your answer is wrong. And we're going to go ahead. There's 2 options here. I could use 22 over 7, or I could use 3.14. How many of you use 3.14? Okay, I'll go ahead and use that one then. 3.14 times, what's my radius?
7.
7, and then you've got to square it. A lot of people messed up on this. Before you can ever multiply those 2 things together, what do I have to do? You have to use your exponents, okay? So what's 7 squared? 49. When you multiply that together, what do you get?
Squared.
Okay, thank you for those of you who remembered to square the units. All right? Any questions on how we did that one? Okay, did anyone use 22 over 7? Listen, you'll get a very similar answer if you have a equals pi r squared and instead you did a equals 22 over 7 times 7 squared. Here's what you cannot do. A lot of people have tried canceling this out right now. You cannot cancel out because if you remember, you have to do the square first, okay? So still, guys, what's 7 squared?
49.
Okay, a lot of you messed up on your quiz because of that. So we're going to do times 49 over 1. Now you can reduce them 1 and 7. What's 22 times 7?
154.
154
Feet squared.
feet squared. Notice it's a slightly different answer, but on your test, I would accept either answer. Both of them are correct. Okay, so for the next couple questions, we're going to do some review. There will be these review kind of questions on your test. The measures of center. What's another word for measure of center?
The median.
The median. So you're just looking for the one that is in the middle. What's in the middle on data A?
60.
60. What's in the middle for data B? 90. Excellent. For the next one, guys, help me out with the measures of variation. All right, this one we're finding the measures of variation. Remember for that, it's like another word for range. So you're taking the upper quartile, which was 80, and subtracting the lower quartile, which was 30. So guys, what is data A? 50. Data B, we've got to take 100 and subtract 80. What is 100 minus 80? 20. Okay, so for number 9, we're finding the selling price. As I just looked, I saw two very distinct answers, okay? A lot of people had this answer, $26.25, but a lot of people also had a different answer, $8.75. One of those is correct. So let's talk through what it should be. P times of equals is. Notice that I get a 25% discount. So guys, what percentage do I have to pay?
75.
75%. So we're going to change that to a decimal, 0.75, and multiply it times the original price. When you do that, guess what you get? $26.25. Now, I want to talk through why so many other people got $8.75. This is what they did. They did 0.25 and multiplied times $35. When they do that, guess what they get? $8.75. But guess what that is? That means they get $8.75 off the price, which then means you would have to take the $35 and subtract $8.75. If you did that, then guess what you'd get? It's just a much longer way of doing it, okay? But a lot of you guys tried to say that this was your answer. You got to be careful. That's why we always want to go ahead and change the discount to the percentage that you pay. All right, so for this one, you've just got to identify, you're finding I equals PRT. You're just going to go ahead and figure out what it is that we already know. We know our interest is $24. Principal is $500. We do not know the rate. That's what we're looking for. And your time, we know, is 2 years. Okay, so as I plug things into my formula, $24 equals the principal, 500, times the rate, times the years. As you can see, on the right-hand side, I can multiply those two together. What do I get when I do that? 1,000. So I have 1,000 times R. Your goal is to get R by itself, so you have to divide by 1,000. This cancels out, and you get 0.024. The rate always has to be a what? A percentage. So I've got to move that decimal over so I can turn it into a percent, which means your answer is 2.4%. All All right, I saw a lot of different answers on this one. We're finding the area of a semicircle. Start first with the area of a circle. What's that formula? Everyone, now divide it by 2. A lot of people are still forgetting to divide it by 2. Now, I'm going to show you a mistake that a lot of people made on their quiz, and I don't want to see you make the same mistake on your test tomorrow. What is my area, or what's my pi? 3.14. Come over here, guys. This is where a lot of people messed up. Watch what I do, and I want to see if you can figure out my mistake.
You didn't find the radius.
I did not find the radius. Look at this right here. What is that 24? That's my diameter, guys, which is why I tell you at the beginning, I'd love to see you write 24. Then you know the radius is 12. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Let me show you the next thing that a lot of people messed up on. They looked at this right now, and they said, I want to cross-reduce something. They turned this to a 1 and a 6. How many of you did that on your quiz? Or on your homework? You are not allowed to do that. Why not?
Because you do exponents first.
If you see on your quiz, I wrote PEMDAS. That means exponents come before you're allowed to do that. Okay? You have to focus on this part first. So now we've got, what's 12 squared? 144. Now you're allowed to cross-reduce because there's no exponents there. Guys, how many times can a 2 go into a 144? 72 times. Now you're going to go ahead and multiply that out. And only about 3 of you got this answer. What's the answer?
226.08 squared.
All right. Raise your hand if you got that right. Okay. Listen, you've got to study this for your test tomorrow, please. Look over this video. Look over the other ones if you're struggling. 9.1 to 9.3 test tomorrow.